13. Today I'm going to be talking about how to basically transpose something. Now, does that sound scary? Transposing? Do you want to transpose? It's a big scary word. I don't know. Well, it's actually pretty easy. Transposing is basically like taking something, moving it up, or just moving it down. Now, I'll show that in what we're doing here. And I'm also going to show what dictates stem direction, because you've probably seen stems go up and stems go down. So I'll just touch on that too. Alright guys, so I'm going to play you a melody. Oh, I forgot to write a time signature in these two things. Whoops. You forgive me, don't you guys? Yeah, you do. Okay. So 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. Now, as you notice, this one up here is in G major. It's written in the treble clef with just the right hand. The reason I didn't do a two-hand thing is because it'd be sort of hard with the whiteboard and I didn't want to erase everything. So you can do the same with two hands, just the same method. This is just for simplicity. So I've got a treble clef with my right hand, and look, I've got lovely F sharp here, so that shows that it's in the key of G major. Now it's 4, 4 time signature, so I need to equal that number of beats for the end of this bar, which I did, with 3/4 notes and 2/8 notes. So that's 1, and then 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm going to play you that melody right here. It's in G major. So it goes like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So listen to that. Pretty cool, eh? So that's the G major thing. Now, transposing something is basically taking something that sounds like a pattern on one key and then just moving it from G major or whatever into another key. So the best way to know what I'm talking about is just hear it. So listen to this. So I'm going to play it first again in G major like I just did. Okay, now I'm going to play it in the next one down here. So it goes like this. Now, doesn't that sound familiar? Now, why does it do that? Well, if you look, G is the tonic note, right? It's the first note. Now, C, well, I'll cover tonics and all that stuff in a future lesson pretty quick here. So G is the first note in G major, and C is the first note in C major. So what I want to do if I'm moving it into C major is I just move it up. Say I want to go to C major, I move everything up here to C, so that's going up a fourth. So if this is going up a fourth, then this goes up a fourth. So up a fourth from here would be the E, it's on the E. Up a fourth from here is the D. Now this is where intervals help, because what you can do is, what's the distance between that? That's a third. So you just play that, go up a third, down a second, down a third, up a second. And that's the pattern. And then it's the same thing here. Okay, so now I'm going to play the F major one. Well, first I'll play G, then I'll play C, and then I'll play F. So first I'm starting on G, I'm going up a fourth, and then I'm going from C down to F, which is down a fifth. And now, I should have taken one where, well, the key signature applies here, so the F sharp is on this. Now if I didn't play it with the F sharp, this is how the G one would sound. Now notice how it doesn't sound right unless I put that G sharp there. Now I go to C, which has no key signature. Cool. Now let's go to the F1. And it's going on F. So it sounds the same. Transposing is taking something and moving it up or down or whatever into another key. So basically what you want to do is find the distance intervallically and move it up or down to match that, sort of. So taking it, say I wanted to go to E right there, I would just move this up to E, the C to the E, And then I'd say, okay, so that's going up a third, so this goes up a third, that goes up a third. Or I can take it and just go, well, if I'm on E, I go up a third from there, I go down a second from there, and whatnot. And then I just add the key signature of whatever E major is. So then I put E major. So that has F, C, D, or G, and then D. And then that's E major. And then all the sharps are taken care of and everything sounds perfect. So, you'll learn that in a very soon, or I guess you are going to learn, you already know what the sharps and flats are. Because you learned that in the circle of fifths. So hopefully you guys know your circle of fifths quite well now. Okay, so that is the basics of transposition. Pretty easy, right? Okay, now you're probably wondering what these stems are all about, so that's the next thing I'll get into. Alright, so the stems. Why do they go up and why do they go down? What's the deal with that? Well, now, have you ever had a compass? Actually, you know what, have you ever had a compass that worked? Every compass I've ever got never seems to work. Maybe I just don't know how to work the compass, but I thought it had to do that itself. It works itself, but maybe not. Anyway, okay, so think of this note as a compass. You know how the needle is supposed to turn north? At least mine never did. Because I'd be going around and around and around, and I'm like, oh, it still says I'm pointing north. And then I'm like, well, people say you have to take the magnet off or something, but I like don't see any magnet to take off, so I'm just like, or I don't know, they just never seem to work for me. Anyway. Okay. Maybe I create my own magnetic field with my energy, and I'm like, woo, and then it always points, or something like that. I'm just such a energetic guy, you know how my hair is, that I just create my own magnetic field, and compasses don't work with me. Okay, so that was a little off topic there, but, okay. So, these stems are sort of like the needles on a compass. Now how they work is, this is pointing towards where? This center line here. Wherever this center line is, because look how there's 1 line, 2 line, 3 line, 4 line, 5 line. So the middle line would be the third line, right there. So that third line, and it doesn't matter if it's the bass clef or the treble clef, it's going to pull the stem in that direction all the time. Every single time it's going to do that. So this center line here, so where's the stem going? It's pointing, boom, right to there. That middle line. This one's pointing there. This one is pointing there, this one is pointing there. Now, look at these are going down. Look, they're pointing towards that middle line. Pointing down, pointing up, pointing up. It's because they're pointing towards that middle line. It's the compass. It's the compass doing it. Okay, now, what happens if you have a group of notes? Like say you had a note way up there and a note down there. Say you had one on the A and one on the E. And you had to join them together like these are joined. What would you do? Because one would be below and one would be up. Good question. I'm glad I asked it of myself. I'm such a lame guy. Okay, anyway. What would happen is it sort of, think of it as like a tug of war. It has to have a battle, sort of. Like this group has to have a battle and they have to come to a decision which way they're going to go because it can't go up and down. So they have to decide and they have to commit together. Okay, so whichever one is stronger, this is kind of like a marriage or something when you're trying to make a decision together. It's like whoever is the stronger person is just like, no, I'm having it my way. No, I'm having it my way. Okay, okay. Right? I don't know if that ever happens with you, but the stronger one is the one that's farther away. It has the more pull. Because think of it as the closer you get to it, think of it as it's like more docile and it doesn't really matter as much. The further away it goes, the more it wants to be close, it wants to be there. So if it's really far away, it's like has this really strong desire to go that way. It's like meow, and then it just kind of hovers around there. Whereas this one is kind of weak since it's really close to it. So say it's on the A and this one's up at the E. Which one's farther away? Well, the A is only 1 note away, and this is 1, or 1, 2, 3. It's away by 3. So it's like 3 times stronger. It's way farther away, so it's going to go down. Okay? So that's how that works. Now, what if there's a whole bunch of them? Now, say there's a whole bunch of them, and actually, you know what, I'm going to draw out an exercise for that, so hold on. Alright, so here's my example. So say we have a group of 4 notes. Now don't worry, I didn't put in the time signature, the key signature. I don't really care about that right now. Okay, so say we have 4 groups of notes. We have a group of 4 notes here together. Now, how do we decide which way it's going to go? Well, first we decide, well, which one's farther away. Okay, so this C is 1 note away, and this A is 1 note away. So each sides have 1, so it's like equal pull. Okay, now we have 2 down here, and we have 1 up here, and we have 1 on the line. Now the 1 on the line can go up or down. So whenever it gets to the situation, it's kind of like, I don't know, I'm neutral. You know, it's just neutral. It doesn't have any standing. It can go up or down. So you could just cancel that out of the equation completely. So if we have 2 down here and 1 up here, who's going to win the tug of war? I think you're getting the logic behind this, aren't you? The 2 down here are going to beat the 1 up there. They're just going to be like, goo, 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 and like curb stomp them or something. Well, maybe not. Maybe they'll just get together, have a nice picnic, and decide that, you know, their way is better. Okay. Anyway, so that's the example here. So majority will win when you don't have one that's further away. Now, what happens if there is no majority? Say there's 2 up here and 2 down there. What would happen? Well, then you could choose. Then it would be up to you, whatever you wanted to do. You would have freedom of choice to do whatever you wanted to do. Like if you have a note here, right there, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to put it stem up or stem down? Well, technically either one's correct. But in this circumstance here, since we have these stems going up, it looks better if you have it going up like this. Because it just makes it more, whatever. It doesn't really make too much of a difference. Okay, now I'll get on to one more thing with that stem direction. Okay, now there's one exception to the rule I just showed you about stem direction. Now look at these stems. This violates the stem rules completely, doesn't it? Because this is the middle stem, and now this is pointing down and this is pointing up. What is going on here? Well, there's a different style of writing called chorale style writing, and what it is imagine this is actually 2 different instruments. These are 2 different parts. So while you're holding one, you're expected to play something else. Now, how would that sound? Like, how would you write that if, how would you express that on paper that you want them to sound like 2 distinct voices? So, what you eventually get into later on, I didn't write it all out, but you can write, you know, a bass here, and put it all together, and then you'll have another one that goes up, and then one that goes down. And what this is actually showing you is this line here would be the soprano voice line. This would be the alto right here, and then there's tenor, and then there's bass. So it's soprano, alto, tenor, bass. That's 4-part writing, or 4-part harmony. Right now I've just got 2 voices here. So what's actually happening here is I've got a whole note here, and think of this as completely independent of this. So this is going up and this is going down to show that this is one part and this is another. So I'm holding here and I'm going dun, dun, and then these go together, dun, dun, and then they come out, dun. So if I was playing that, it would sound something like this. Now listen to how the left hand holds. Right? And then it goes. So whenever you see things like that, it's just a different style of writing that's showing you that these should be treated differently, and they can be, like, the timing is completely different. Like, you could clap this, and it wouldn't be the same. Like, just because there's a half note here doesn't mean that you can't play up there or whatever. You can do something different there. Like, I could just add crazy rhythms up in the top and have one with like a whole note there. Or I could have a rest there, and there you'd have to rest. You wouldn't be playing anything at the top right there. So think of it as like an extra line. Just like this is one line of music, imagine this is a mini line and this is a mini line, and it's just being broken up. So that's what happens when you see stuff like that. It's trying to show you that it's different voices. And sometimes you might even see, in some circumstances, you'll see this. Now what is that showing you? Usually that's what's happened when you have one voice up here and one voice here, and then they've come together and they've collapsed into one single voice there. So it's showing that both voices are playing that note. So say if you had two violins, like violin 1 and violin 2 or something like that, or like, you know, violin and a cello, then they're both playing that note there. So that's all it's saying, is that in that one note there's two voices. So it doesn't mean you play it any differently, you still play it the same, but when you're thinking of it, think that there's two voices going on there. So it's not like you're like, oh, hey, where did my other voice go? Because they have to show you, you know, this one went here and that one went there. If they just like took that away, you're following along here and you're like, what? Where did my voice go? There's 2 extra beats gone. So they put that there to kind of show you what's going on there. Make sense? Hopefully. Okay, so yeah, that is stem direction and not modulation. Transposition. So they're not very scary things. Hopefully you've learned something from this, and keep practicing. Have fun. Take care. Bye-bye.